Welcome back. Today I'm sharing how to make this super easy present cake. So I made this cake as part of a collaboration with Lucy Fink of Refinery 29. We shot a really fun episode together, and if you guys want to check it out, you can click the link in the upper right corner. So I'm making this cake with some super colorful layers, as you can see. I made this pattern by dropping different spoonfuls of batter into the center of my pan, similar to what you would do to get a zebra effect. I'm frosting the cake with a cinnamon buttercream just to give it a little bit more of a festive spirit and taste. And I'm using 3 7-inch cake layers here. Once my layers were stacked, I began to work on my crumb coat. So I added on a little bit of extra buttercream to the sides and the top of the cake, and then using a large offset spatula, I gently worked the frosting around the cake and then smoothed it using a bench scraper. I then popped the cake into the freezer for about 5 minutes until it was nice and firm to the touch, and I then began to work on my second layer of frosting. So for this, I decided to use some red buttercream just because this cake is going to look like a gift, and I feel like red is such a festive color. If you guys want to see a full tutorial on how to get really smooth frosting on the sides of your cake, you can click on the link in the upper right corner for a super in-depth tutorial. Next, I began to cut some white fondant to create the ribbons that are going to go on top of our cake. So I also cut out a bunch of small dots, which was for a separate cake that Lucy ended up making during our episode, but I really ended up just using those strips that I cut. I evenly placed the 4 different strips around the cake, pinching them in the center to look just like a ribbon does when it comes in and is tied in a knot. I added a bit of buttercream underneath each fondant strip just because my frosting had firmed up a little bit and I wanted to make sure that the fondant really stuck to that buttercream. My fondant had already started to firm up a little bit when I added these, so I pressed them down a little bit into the cake just to make sure they were really nice and secure, and then I set to work on creating my bow. So for this, I am a firm believer in working with whatever you have, and for me, the best object that I had for making kind of round supports for the ribbon was a toilet paper roll. So I used that, made my bows using similar sized strips of fondant, and then got to work on adding this bow onto my cake. So I started off by just placing the big round ribbons first to get an idea for where I wanted the bow to sit. I then set in that little middle piece of fondant that brings the whole bow together, and I then carefully placed the additional ribbons underneath it to really give me a full look of a bow. I carefully removed my toilet paper roll supports once that rounded part of my bow had firmed up, and then my cake was complete. So now there's nothing left to do but cut into this cake, and I really love how kind of simple the outside looks, but how exciting and colorful the inside of the cake looks. It really is just like a gift where the outside is beautiful, but what's really fun is waiting on the inside. So thanks so much for watching today. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please let me know if you have any questions or any ideas for future cakes that you'd love to see me make. And hopefully I'll see you guys again soon. I hope you guys have a great holiday season.